Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Well, this is the first lesson that we three have for the month of November this year. And very often our first lesson is the vocabulary test for the month. 10 items in a closed situation. We have a blank, and you have 4 choices, and you choose which one best fulfills the meaning of the missing word or words, and make sure that it's grammatically correct as well. For example, number 1, my brother wanted to get stronger and develop an blank build, so he started working out at a gym on a regular basis and went on a high-protein diet. We use an here, so we know that the word in the blank has to start with a vowel or a vowel sound, and the 4 choices do. Elastic, athletic, intensive, executive. So the writer or speaker is talking about his brother. He wants to go to a gym and bulk up to get stronger and develop what kind of build? Build is the general condition of your body, especially when we're talking about what your body looks like. Do you look strong? Do you look, the best choice here, of course, would be B, do you look athletic? The kind of person who can run and jump and lift things and dance around, whatever, and not get tired from all that exercise. There's nothing in English with an elastic build, unless maybe it's a toy that you can stretch out of shape, but that wouldn't work here. We wouldn't say intensive build. You could have intensive exercise, as earlier this year, all the Olympians, all the people who entered the Olympics have to go through very intensive programs to develop their skills and their athletic build. An executive build, I don't think we have that collocation. Anyway, choose athletic. It fits perfectly. My brother wanted to get stronger and develop an athletic build, so he started working out at a gym on a regular basis and went on a high-protein diet.
好，我们看到题目，他说我的 brother wanted to， 他想要 get stronger， 他想要变得比较强壮，然后想要 develop， 要培养一个什么样的 build 就是体格的意思啊，所以他做了什么事情呢？他就 started working out， 就是锻炼身体啊，通常是指强力的运动，锻炼身体。在哪里锻炼呢？ At a gym， 通常就是在一个健身房里面锻炼。那 on a regular basis 就是固定的去健身房锻炼。然后呢，他 went on a high protein diet， 好，高蛋白的一个 diet 是饮食。那你 go on a 什么样的 diet， 就是你吃的是哪一类的食物。所以就是说他开始进行高蛋白饮食锻炼身体。所以他想要干嘛？他想要有什么样的体格呢？我们看到 A elastic 是有弹性的，这个不对。B athletic 运动员的，这个很好，他要有一个运动员的体格啊，所以他锻炼然后吃高蛋白的饮食，所以这正确答案。C intensive 是密集的，不对。D executive 是行政的或者跟执行有关的，也不对，所以我们选 athletic。
Number 2, Johnson submitted his application to the firm when he heard that there was a blank in their tech department. 2 days later, he was asked to come in for a job interview. A very nice result. He heard that there was something in their tech department. He heard that there was a place. He heard that there was an opening. He heard that there was an opportunity for work. And so he submitted his application. He put in his application. So, what place or what opening, what word here means place or opening? We have a vacancy. Vacancy means something is empty, like there's a vacant room at a hotel, so there's a vacancy at the hotel, or there's a vacancy in the apartment building. So this might be our word. Then we have breakthrough, which means that you've gone up to another level. Proposal, which means that you're giving somebody an idea that you want them to work together with you on. And D is hypothesis, which means a theory. So Vacancy is our best choice here. There was a vacancy in the tech department. Somebody left, and then there was an opening or a place for somebody else to work. So choose A. Johnson submitted his application to the firm when he heard that there was a vacancy in their tech department. 2 days later, he was asked to come in for a job interview.
我们看到 Johnson 他 submitted 就提交他的 application 他的申请书 to the firm 给这个公司啊，为什么要提交呢？因为 when 就是他之前他 heard 他听说 there was a vacancy 啊，这是我们正确答案，有一个空缺 vacancy 就是一个空缺，在哪里有空缺呢？ In their tech department 在他们的科技部门有一个空缺，然后呢2天之后 2 days later 他就被要求来 come in 啊，要进来要过来 for a job interview 来面试啊，所以我们正确答案要选 vacancy。 那我们看其他答案 B breakthrough 是突破或者重大进展啊，这跟他来应征没有关系。 Proposal C 是提议或者计划，或者是甚至于可以表示求婚，所以在这里也不合适。 D hypothesis 就是假设啊，这个字如果是复数的话，后面是字尾会变成 ses 会变成长音。好，那这个短音呢，其实要念清楚一点，我刚刚这念没有很清楚啊，把它念成 hypothesis 就是单数。
Number 3, the young man creates content for his YouTube channel that blank to video game fans. He does game reviews, live streams his playing sessions, and gives complete tutorials. Well, let's see. Speaking of blank, I draw a blank when I read sentences like these because they're related to internet and YouTube and so on. But I have friends in high places, so I found out the answer.
You've got friends that are taller than you?
Oh, almost all of them, as a matter of fact. Okay, he does game reviews, live streams his playing sessions, and gives complete tutorials. Notice where the blank is, though, that blank to video game fans. Of the 4 choices, only 2 of them, TWO, use to. A, caters to or resorts to. Those are your only possible choices because specializes and participates both use in if you're going to continue your idea. So the content that the young man creates, is it caters to video game fans or resorts to video game fans? A is definitely your best and really only choice here. Cater to something means that you fulfill people's wishes or what they want to happen or what they want you to do. We can also use sometimes the verb appeals, the content that appeals to, attracts video game fans. Anyway, resort to is to be forced into a decision that you might not want to make. So A is the only logical choice here. The young man creates content for his YouTube channel that caters to video game fans. He does game reviews, live streams his playing sessions, and gives complete tutorials.
好，刚刚这个 Bruce 老师有用到一个字 appeal 啊 ，appeal 啊 appeal to 就是对这个对谁有让谁有兴趣，或者是迎合谁。好，我们看到这个题目，他说这位年轻人呢 creates 他制作 content 就是内容啊，为他的 YouTube 的这个 channel 制作内容。那这个他的这个 YouTube 的频道呢是什么呢？他 that 怎么样？那我们选正确答案 caters to 就是迎合或者是满足谁的需求。好，迎合或者满足这些 video game fans 就是电玩粉丝的需求。那他做什么呢？he does game reviews 就是电玩的评论或者评价。那同时呢，他 live streams 啊，也就是开网络直播，他的 playing sessions 就是他在玩的时候他就开直播，玩这些电玩的时候他就开直播啊 ，sessions 就是指你做特定活动的一段时间。然后呢，他 gives complete tutorials。这 complete 在这里呢，就是介绍这个电玩哈，告诉你怎么样破关，从头到尾怎么样破关哈，叫 complete， 在这里是特别的意思。那 tutorials 就是在教学。好，我们看看其他选项。B specialize 后面要接 in 啊 ，specializes in 是专门从事哪方面啊？那 C resorts resorts 后面可以加 to， 可是它是诉诸什么？例如我们常常讲 resorts to legal action 啊，就是这个诉诸法律行动。那 D participates 后面通常也是接 in， 它表示参与的意思，所以都不对，我们要选 caters to。
Number 4. Willie dedicates himself to charity work and encourages his friends to do blank. Some of them have been inspired to become enthusiastic volunteers. So charity work is when you donate time or money, and volunteers are people who donate their time. So if you've been inspired to become a volunteer, that means that somebody has helped you decide to do that. And so what does Willie do? He encourages his friends. He helps his friends. He eggs on his friends. How do you say encourages in another positive way?
That's a good one.
He doesn't force them. He doesn't egg them on. He doesn't
convinces them to?
He convinces them. That's a neutral way to say it. Encourage is one of the very few positive ways to sort of get somebody to do something. He convinces them to do the same, to do something similar. What is a word that means the same or something similar? We've got A, beforehand, B, furthermore, C, straight, and D, likewise. Oh, I like likewise because like is similar. Likewise, wise means, of course, wisdom, but wise is also means direction in colloquial English or in sort of historical English.
Clockwise.
Clockwise, or otherwise. It implies a kind of direction. So choose D, likewise. Willie dedicates himself to charity work and encourages his friends to do likewise. Some of them have been inspired to become enthusiastic volunteers.
Dedicate oneself to 就是献身于什么或者致力于什么。所以 Willie 呢，他献身做什么事情呢？ Charity work 就是慈善工作啊。那整个片语各位可以背起来。Dedicates oneself to charity work， 他献身于慈善工作。然后他 encourages his friends， 他鼓励他的朋友 to do 来做怎么样？我们要选的是 likewise， 就是同样的、相似的 similarly 或者是 in the same way。所以 do likewise 就是 do the same 的意思。他也鼓励他朋友一样要好好做这或者要献身做慈善工作。那他 some of them 就他朋友之中有一些人呢 have been inspired to 受到了他的鼓励，成为怎么样 to become 这个 enthusiastic volunteers 热心的义工 volunteers。所以我们要选 likewise。那我们看其他选项 A beforehand 就是 in advance 事先的意思， B furthermore 是此外尚且 moreover 的意思，也不对。C straight 是直接的连续的 go straight home 就是直接回家，但是在这里也不对，所以我们要选 D likewise。
Number 5. The student took out some sentences from her essay that she considered blank. She wanted it to be effective and precise rather than loose and dull. Well, we're talking about writing here and language, and if you take out something, you remove it. And if we're talking about writing, we could also use delete it. These are things that we don't want. We do want something that's effective and precise. Sentences which are not, they are blank. Are they sufficient? Are they enough? No, that's the opposite. Are they dispensable? Aha. If something is dispensable, it's unnecessary. It's unneeded. Get rid of it. If it's compulsory, she doesn't have a choice to remove or delete them. Genuine is arguable, but not nearly so good as dispensable, something that you want to get rid of. So choose B. The student took out some sentences from her essay that she considered dispensable. She wanted it to be effective and precise rather than loose and dull.
所以这位学生 took out 拿出或者是删掉了 some sentences 一些句子 from her essay 从她的文章里面拿掉了一些句子。这些句子是怎么样 that she considered 她认为是怎么样的呢？是怎么样她才会拿掉呢？我们看到 A 选项 sufficient 是充足的，她认为很充足，所以把它拿掉，这很奇怪。好 B dispensable 这是我们正确答案。 dispensable 就是可以不要的，不是必要的啊。那前面如果加个 in 的话 indispensable 就是 不可以不要的，就是不可或缺的啊。但在这里没有 in， 所以它是可以不要的，所以这是正确答案。C compulsory 是强制性的，这个也不对。D genuine 是很真诚的啊 ，sincere authentic 啊，但是放在这个句子也不对，所以我们要选的是 dispensable。那下面一句他说呢 ，She wanted it 就是他希望他的 it 就是指他的 essay， 他希望他的文章呢是 effective 有效，然后呢 and precise 很精准 ，rather than 而不是 loose 就是很松散 and dull 就是枯燥乏味。
Number 6.Most of the workers are annoyed by the high levels of blank at the company. Well, that could be anything. Let's see what it could be. There are so many procedures to stick to. There are so many processes that we have to follow exactly. There's so many standards that we have to accommodate. Even asking for a day off involves an enormous amount of paperwork. Paperwork.My least favorite thing in the world. Everybody's least favorite thing in the world. Paperwork is filling out forms or writing reports. Basically leaving a paper trail for what you're doing. And the more bureaucratic your company, the more paperwork you're going to have to do. So the original word, most of the workers are annoyed by the high levels of, we could say paperwork. We could say red tape. So what word means paperwork or red tape? So we've got A, infection, B, unemployment, C, bureaucracy, and D, disturbance. Bureaucracy, normally it means like an office or the people in charge of something, like the bureaucracy. Every government has a bureaucracy. It means the people who do the paperwork in the government. However, we can also in English use it as a noun to represent all of the work that you have to do for the bureaucracy. And that's what we've used here today. So choose C. Most of the workers are annoyed by the high levels of bureaucracy at the company. There are so many procedures to stick to. Even asking for a day off involves an enormous amount of paperwork.
好，所以呢，大多数的工作人员呢 are annoyed by 对什么什么感到很懊恼。被这个 high levels of 很高度的，我们要选的是 bureaucracy 啊，就是官僚作风啊 ，red tape 啊 ，REDTAPE 也可以用来指官僚作风啊，繁文缛节等等的。所以大家对于这个公司 at the company 这家公司的高度的官僚作风非常的这个感到很恼怒啊。那有很多的 procedures 程序要 stick to 要遵守。好，甚至于你如果要请假哈 ，asking for a day off， 你要请一天假呢 ，involves 也牵涉到 an enormous amount of paperwork， 也牵涉到大量的文书作业，要填一大堆表格，可能要写报告等等的。好，所以正确答案是 bureaucracy。那 A infection 是感染，好 ，B unemployment 是失业 ，D disturbance 是干扰，都不对，我们选 bureaucracy。
Number 7.Rod was blank from the waist down after the car accident. Now he relies on a wheelchair for mobility. Poor guy, Rod was in a bad car accident, and he was blank from the waist down, so now he can't walk. He needs a wheelchair for mobility means being able to move around, in this case, the ability to walk. So was Rod...overwhelmed, isolated, civilized, or paralyzed. The only choice that works here is D. Paralyzed is the inability to feel or to use part of your body. In this case, his legs. That's why he needs a wheelchair. The other three don't fit at all. So Rod was paralyzed from the waist down after the car accident.Now he relies on a wheelchair for mobility.
好，事实上英文里面呢 to be paralyzed from the waist down 这是一个常见的一个 collocation， 就是腰部以下瘫痪的意思，所以我们正确答案选 paralyzed。那他为什么腰部以下瘫痪呢？是 after the car accident， 是在这个车祸之后。那现在呢，他 relies on 他依靠一个轮椅for mobility 就是行动所以他行动呢要靠一个轮椅我们看看其他选项 A overwhelmed 是无法自持或者应接不暇 B isolated 是被隔绝被孤立的意思 C civilized 是有教养或者开化的，那这3个答案都不对，第4个才对，它是腰部以下瘫痪，我们要选瘫痪，这个是 paralyzed。
Number 8. Richard is blank for his ill temper. His bad moods, his inability to keep his
Cool.
There we go. That's why people tend to walk on eggshells around him. If you're walking on eggshells and you don't want them to break, you have to step very, very lightly and carefully. So they have to walk on eggshells around him, lest they unknowingly trigger his anger. Lest is a very unfashionable. It's a very old-fashioned word. It's old. Lest means in order to avoid, or is there a more single one-word substitute for lest?
No.
So that people don't, so that somebody doesn't. That's why we're still using this ancient word. It's because it's the only one that works. So lest they unknowingly trigger his anger. Unknowingly means without knowing it, and trigger means to set something off. You trigger a gun and it fires a bullet. You trigger a bomb and it explodes. You trigger this dude's ill temper and you're in trouble. Dislike people like that. Anyways, he's something for his ill temper. He's known for his ill temper. Everybody knows he's like this. He's known for it. So what word feels like or is like known for it? Our choices are A, suitable, B, notorious, C, qualified, or D, grateful. Well, suitable means it works well for that. Qualified means you've got enough skills to do something, and grateful, everyone knows, means thankful. So that leaves notorious, which is our answer, because if you're notorious for something, it means everybody knows you're famous for doing something bad. So he's notorious for being a terrible person. I'm trying not to use other words. Okay, so Richard is notorious for his ill temper. That's why people tend to walk on eggshells around him, lest they unknowingly trigger his anger. The answer is B.
好 to be notorious for something 就是为了什么事情恶名昭彰，所以在这里是正确答案。Richard 因为他的 ill temper 因为他的坏脾气恶名昭彰。That's why 就是因为这样子，所以 people tend to 往往会 walk on eggshells 就走在蛋壳上面， eggshells 是蛋壳，也就是小心翼翼的意思。Around him 当他人在的时候呢，他周围的人都非常小心 lest 以免他们会 unknowingly 就是不知不觉的不知情的 trigger his anger 引发他的怒火。好 lest 这个字现在已经比较少用了，现在会用其他的句型来表达，但它这个意思我们了解，它就是以免的意思。好，我们看看其他选项。 A suitable 是适合的，不对。 C qualified 是合格的，有资格胜任的，这也不对。 Grateful 就是 thankful 就是感激的感谢的，放在这个句子都讲不通，所以我们只能选 notorious。
Number 9. Minnie used to support capital punishment, but she has changed her blank on the matter and now advocates for an end to death sentences and executions. Our choices: A, stance, B, debate, C, authority, or D, outcome. Well, it looks as though Minnie has changed her mind, but there's no mind here, so we have to choose another word. The best answer clearly is A, stance, which means your viewpoint or your position on some kind of controversy, some kind of situation where people are debating about it. Now, debate is there too, but you cannot change your debate. Debate is a way to do something, but you can change your, as I said, stance, your position, your viewpoint. She could not change her authority, nor could she change her outcome. The outcome is the result of something, but it doesn't fit here. She can't change her outcome. So choose A. Minnie used to support capital punishment, but she has changed her stance on the matter and now advocates for an end to death sentences and executions.
好 Minnie used to 她以前曾经 support 支持 capital punishment 就是死刑啊，但是呢 she has changed 现在她改变了她的什么呢 stance 就是立场或者态度啊 a position 或者是个 point of view， 她改变她的 stance on the matter， 她已经改变在这件事情上她的态度，现在她 advocates 她提倡或者拥护 advocates for an end to， 她提倡拥护要结束什么呢？结束 death sentences 死刑，还有 executions 执行死刑，所以正确答案是 stance。 B debate 是辩论， C authority 是权威或者有关当局等等的， D outcome 是结果或者是后果，那这三个都不对，我们只能选 stance， 它只能改变它的立场。
Number 10. The contestant blank determination and endurance in the match against the champion. Determination means you just decide to keep going no matter what. Endurance is the ability, the strength to do that. The spectators, the people watching, were very impressed and gave her a standing ovation when it was over. They stood up to clap for her. So the contestant, what did they do? They showed determination. They demonstrated determination and endurance. Which word demonstrates or shows demonstration or showing? Our choices are A, concealed, B, anticipated, C, manifested, or D, undermined. The one that comes closest to the word showing is manifest. If you manifest something, you make it happen. You bring it into being. So that's what she did. She brought determination and endurance into being in the match against the champion. I want to point out, however, that the dictionary definition of manifest is to show or to demonstrate. What Bruce and I are reacting to is that this word manifesting is starting to evolve in the English language. It already had an element of bringing into being, but it's not the main point of the word. However, recently, like in the last 5 years, it's become more towards bringing things into being. It's got this extra use that people are starting to use it for. However, if you're using it in English tests and in standard English, you should use it to mean show or demonstrate.
OK， 好，我们看到这个题目，他说 the contestant 就是这个竞争者这些选手呢怎么样？那我们要选的是 manifested。那这个字呢，刚刚 Angela 老师有讲了，通常我们表示它的意思是显露或者显示但是最近几年呢，这个英文慢慢这个字开始变得有那种这个 bring it into being 这种感觉那意思有一点点在变，不过在这里应该还是显露或者显示，它显露了它的 determination 它的决心，还显示了它的 endurance 它的耐力，在这个 match 这场比赛是对抗这个 champion 对抗冠军的这个比赛里面。那下一句他说 the spectators 这些观众 were very impressed 大家看的都感到很钦佩，然后呢 gave her a standing ovation 就是起立鼓掌喝彩，这个英文是固定的说法 to give somebody a standing ovation， 然后呢 when it was over 就比赛结束的时候大家都起立为他鼓掌。那我们看到其他选项 A concealed 是隐藏或者隐瞒， anticipated 是预期那 D undermined 是破坏或者逐渐削弱别人的信心权利等等的，但在这里都不适用，我们选 C manifested。
Well, that does it for today's test. Please join us again tomorrow. Till then,
Bye-bye.